intervened on behalf of...
And now, coming to you live from atop the Goldenrod City radio tower, it's the one, the only, PUCL TCGcast.
Hello, PUCLonians, and welcome to New Year 2020. Happy New Year, everyone. This is the first of 2020 here, January 2020, and it's the first episode of PUCL. It's this one, the TCGcast, and boy, am I excited to start a brand new year with not only a brand new generation, brand new Pokemon to love and adore, but also a brand new format that we are going to love. So let's go ahead and bring it. This is episode 77 of the PUCL podcast, or
How
PUCL
lucky.
TCGcast, part of the PUCL podcast family, which is our main show, of course, hosted by the fearless leader Thatch, that came up with this around 20 years ago. No, wait, not that much. 10 years ago. 20 years is Pokemon. More than 20 years at this point, but I'm not here to just keep on ranting by myself. I have two of my best co-hosts to discuss the year, and that is, some say that I did not come up with good intros, but they're amazing, and that is Sublime Manic.
No, you're amazing.
You are amazing.
Thank you.
And
You
some
too.
say that he's basically what we used to use before internet and before Encyclopedia Britannica. It's our Sigma.
Unfortunately, that doesn't mean I'm immune to fatigue. Man, am I tired.
It's been a long year.
The struggle is real.
It is. And it's not just a hefty year in the TCG, but in the VGC, and overall just a busy year in Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
So, we got a lot to discuss. We are, since it's a brand new year, let's start out the new year discussing the old year. 2019 came and went. We had a format. Lots of decks and cards were introduced in this year, and we wanted to take a little bit of time to sit down, discuss among us, and just have a little chat about what were our best cards or our favorite cards in the 2019 format. Now, I do specify that I'm clarifying what's our favorite cards of 2019 format because there are some cards that didn't necessarily come out in 2019, but they became important or became a staple in the 2019 format because of X and Y reasons. And so, but before we jump into all of that, it is a whole new year. So let's just, Sublime, what have you been up to? What are your hopes and dreams for this year?
My hopes and dreams for 2020 are to keep my vision 2020.
But you wear glasses.
Yeah. I don't know. New year, same old me.
Yeah.
Still shady.
Still shady, still sassy.
Still bitter. Yeah.
But what have you been up to in this holiday season?
This is the first season since I've moved. We haven't had to fly up here. It's been fantastic to not have to fly. I hate flying for the holidays.
Yeah, that's a lot of hours you just
I
cut
hate
out.
flying for the holidays. It was great. It was great. It was so great not having to do that.
That's fantastic. What about you, Sigma? What have you been up to?
Just more playing Sword and Shield. Lots
Same
of Sword
here.
and Shield.
I've been on that Three Houses more recently.
Ooh, you're
I
back
need
to
to
Three
get
Houses?
back to that.
I'm back to that Three Houses because I got Sword and Shielded out, you know? Like I went hard. I went real hard, and I'm like, I need to try something else, and I'm doing that for real hard, so then I'll probably tire of that and then go back to Sword and Shield.
That
You know
sounds
what?
like
You know how it
exactly.
is.
Yeah, I know
You know how it
exactly
is.
what you're talking about because that's what happened to me. I got I got Sword and Shield, and work and family and all that stuff. But then Star Wars, I went to Disney and I got fever for Star Wars, and I've been watching and playing nonstop in my whatever little time that I had. Star Wars, old school Star Wars games. For the longest time, and not going back to Pokemon. And as soon as I watched the movie, the episode 9, Rise of Skywalker, it's like, okay, suddenly my brain turned off and it's like, no more Star Wars, go back to Pokemon and finish it. And I came back to Pokemon and I finished it this weekend. I finally defeated the champion. I am now actually, believe it or not, I know that you guys at home are not going to believe it. I am actually breeding as we speak. I got myself a perfect IV Ponyta, a perfect IV Dracovish, and a perfect IV Cinderace. And those are my 3 OU Pokemons that I've trained. My first one. Well, I haven't trained them yet, but they're breeded. They're ready to go. I just need to finish training them. So the process is real, guys. I am going to get into the VGC this year. Hold on tight, guys. I am going for real.
Cool.
So, so that's enough about the VGC. Let's go ahead and just jump into Topical Beach and let's discuss 2019 in review.
Hey guys, Seth Philo cutting in to tell you about something awesome that I've been absolutely loving. Vite Ramen. If you guys know me, you know I have a borderline noodle addiction, and part of that love has always been a guilty pleasure for ramen. Well, Vite Ramen is ramen, but get this, it's actually good for you. You heard me right. The guys at Vite Ramen have spent years making ramen that's nutritionally complete, and I absolutely adore it. Each bowl has 30 grams of protein, which is more than your average protein shake, 7 grams of fiber, all 27 key vitamins and minerals that you need, and most importantly, tons of awesome flavor. Oh yeah, and did I mention it still only takes 4 minutes to prepare? It's basically still instant ramen. You can head over to viteramen.com and pick up soy sauce chicken, garlic pork, and my favorite, vegan miso flavors, as well as handy utensils and other such stuff. And here is the coolest part. At checkout, enter code PUCL, and you'll get 10% off your entire order. That's PUCL, all caps, for a whopping 10% off. Anyway, I gotta get back to rating, and you've got a show to finish. Catch you guys on the flip-flop.
Grab your ice-cold Corsola Cola and pull up a chair. It's time for Tropical Beach.
And we are back. Hope you're feeling the sun in your face, the wind in your eyes, and the sand under your feet. It is Topical Beach. We're going to discuss what's the best thing that we've loved from 2019. Lots of cards, lots of tournaments, lots of play happen. We want to discuss what's our top 5 cards here. So let's just
with
go
an asterisk on 5.
Right, with an asterisk of 5 because we couldn't just pick 5.
We couldn't.
We just
cheated.
had to cheat. It's as always goes. So let's start with our 5th choice and go on up to our first choice. So let's go ahead and, as always, let me go ahead and start the party. Now I'm starting with a magnificent duo as my first favorite card of 2019, and that was Mewtwo and Mew GX. This is the Tag Team GX that came in with Unified Minds, and which I couldn't think of better 2 minds to melt than, of course, Mew and its clone Mewtwo in one card. Now, this card came out and immediately created such a big explosion in the meta. Perfection, its Pokemon ability, it allows you to use any attack from Pokemon GX or EX from your bench, from the discard pile, doesn't matter where, well, those 2 places. And it allows you to use them as long as you could pay the same amount in energies. This opened a huge variety of attacks that you could use. This deck would carry cards that would go immediately into your discard pile. It had no use in your bench. You just was going to throw it in a discard pile because it was for Mewtwo to be able to use its ability Perfection on. Miraculous Duo GX was its GX attack with a 200 hit for 2 psychic energies and 1 colorless, but if you had 1 more colorless, or 1 more psychic, it would mean that you could heal all of your Pokemon as well as doing that damage that it already did. It is an amazingly powerful card with its 270 HP. Overall, it was a big bad boss, and it came and it really took everyone by storm. It won a couple of tournaments, then it kind of died out a bit, but it does not forget
it doesn't
how.
Stop. It never sleeps.
It will come back as soon as it has the opportunity, because the beautiful thing about Mewtwo and Mew GX is that it's only as good as the Pokemon available are. So as long as you continue having powerful GX and powerful EX, it is going to be powerful. Now, it ain't gonna copy those VMAX, so stay on the lookout about you. Guys, what are your opinions about Mewtwo and Mew? Let's start with you, Sublime.
It's probably the most powerful card in the format overall, I would say. Yeah, I'd say it's the most powerful card in the format. The most powerful card.
Yep.
There were a lot of things that went in this thing's favor. Jirachi coming out with it.
Yes.
You know what? I like to say I hate this card, but I think I hate that Jirachi more, if we're going to be honest.
Didn't you put it on your list?
No, I'm talking about the GX one that takes away the...
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Takes away psychic weakness, because if this thing was just weak to psychic, then
no problem.
Who cares? You have Giratina.
Yeah.
You have other psychic decks that can deal with it.
Here.
But
you could...
Jirachi came out, same set. And it just was like, there's no weakness here. We lost to Alolan Muck at the same time this thing came out.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And then the next set had all the tag team support to make it even better.
Yeah. A nice little cyclone of pleasant happenings happened.
And it can run basically any engine. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Most powerful card in the format.
It really is. And it's going to be around for a while. Now, Sublime, what's your card?
2019 was lit, and I don't mean that it was good, because there was a lot of bad in 2019. I mean, it was the year of fire. Finally.
Right, yes, it was.
Finally. Fire has been so bad. Think about how many times fire has been good in the TCG. It's just this year.
Yeah.
Just this year. It's always bad. It's always been so bad. There was Volcanion. Volcanion was like the only deck, though.
Yeah, but it was also like half water.
But it was also half water, exactly. It was half water. So I wanted to celebrate. It's also the year of the Charizard because, it got a G-Max. We got Charizard 4.
Charizard?
Well, this year they gave him a lot. They gave him an appearance in the movie. They gave him the Gigantamax on top of Dynamax.
Charizard, the only starter
and then they gave him not one, but 2 tag team cards that I really enjoyed playing this year. They're kind of following out of like the best deck, They're not like the top of the, but they were fun to play. Right. Not gonna lie. So we have Reshiram and Charizard GX with the Flame Strike that did 230 damage. That's crazy. And then the Double Blaze that could do 300 damage. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. And then you're like, you know what? I don't need that much damage. Sometimes I just want other things. And then they're like, we got you too. We got Charizard and Breaks in GX, which lets you search for up to 3 cards from your deck and do 180 damage. Like, what? Craziness. Good fire tag teams. Good year for fire. I have more fire stuff later on in the list.
Oh yeah, more fire stuff to come in.
Because 2019 wasn't good, but it was lit.
And Reshiram and Charizard GX is one of those cards that, even though it really took off, I could make it work. So it's definitely a top 5. It's definitely clunky and requires a certain finesse in order for you to make it work. And I couldn't, but many did. So it's an excellent card. Must not forget as well, honorable mention, Baby Charizard. The one
Charizard, boy, that was
Baby
that
Charizard
was
GX, yes?
Good. Yep. No, just Baby Charizard.
Oh, okay. I thought we meant because,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought we were referring to the GX that goes into the Mew and Mewtwo decks.
Oh, no. No.
Because there was that Charizard, too.
It had 2 other... It had 2 other ones this year because of the Detective Pikachu promo, too.
Right, yeah. Oh, my gosh. We're Charizard out, but Charizard was definitely in 2019. What's yours, Sigma?
All right, so at my number 5, I have Gardevoir and Sylveon GX, Tag Team GX.
Lots of pink.
Stealth choice.
It is, but I expected this deck to disappear after the rotation because I thought that, hey, Max Potion is what makes this good. It's attack, let it move the energy off it, so you can then Max Potion the next turn, and that's where we'd go. Somehow, it survived rotation, and I think it's even better now than it was then.
Wow.
It got better after the last tag team set, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it's just been getting better and better because of the tag team support that's been coming out. Gets strong supporters it gets to use. And have you ever used its GX attack where you just get rid of your opponent's hand? Not often can you come back from that. So
No, it is something that could definitely ruin you for the rest of the game.
Mm-hmm. It's also very strong and expanded where you have the Aromatisse support. Oh boy, Aromatisse. But yeah, it's just been a very strong card from Unbroken Bonds as well, just like the Charizard and Reshiram. I actually had to look back because I wondered if any of the GXs in there were bad, and then I realized Muck and Muck were in there. So, yeah.
There you go.
Like, Marshadow Machamp sees fringe play every now and then just as like a second card in a deck, but Muck and Muck have not done anything, and that's, I think that's the only bad card in that, or the bad tag team in that set, so.
Yeah, and worth mentioning that Gardevoir and Sylveon GX have been consistently in the top 3 in the past 4 tournaments. Probably, I know that in the regional in Kuala Lumpur, it had Gardevoir and Sylveon Talk Team at third place by Tan Huan Hao. So it's a constant.
Yeah, it's still there. It's going strong. Like I said, it got a bunch of support from the tag team, or from the last set, so.
Right. Well, speaking of support, I do have, as my number 4, cheating here, as we do here in the TCGcast, and I have 3 cards I wanted to talk to you, but the first one I'm going to mention, I had to be the one to mention it. Because this is, ladies and gentlemen, the card that, much like
I never let you forget. I will never let you forget.
like every year, I always, or every format, I always choose one card to be as critical as I possibly be, and then to find out how completely wrong I was. And I, being the person that I am, I do not run away from those situations. I embrace them. Such is the case with Mysterious Treasure. Now, Mysterious Treasure, when it came out, I have to admit, wasn't very excited for this card. Discard a card from your hand. If you do, search your deck for a Psychic or a Dragon Pokemon and put it into your hand, shuffle your deck. My mentality in this card was, hey, it's basically an Ultra Ball, but limited to Psychic and Dragon. So, I don't know. Ultra Ball seems more useful. And then suddenly Mysterious Treasure came out and more Psychic Pokemon and Dragon Pokemon came out, such as the ones that I'm going to mention you soon, and boom, suddenly Mysterious Treasure was not that much of a meh card as I thought it was. In fact, I even gave it a not very effective. And Sublime has reminded me ever since how incredibly wrong I was. It's been really useful. The fact that you could not only as a search engine to search your Psychic and your Dragons, like it's obvious the case, but as a tech card in other cards where you just need to get rid of cards in your hand, you may look for your card, or if you don't have them, it doesn't matter. The point is that it was another way of you to get rid of cards from your hand, and for certain decks, that was super important. But not as important as it was when Ultra Necrozma GX came out, because being a dragon using Psychic Energy, it really took advantage of Mysterious Treasure. Ultra Necrozma GX was 190 basic GX Pokemon that had 1 attack, Photon Geyser, set 20 plus, and then it would do, I think it was, how much was the quantity? It's a little tiny in my end. It was 30, I think, if I'm not mistaken. 30 for each Psychic Energy, 90. Oh my God.
It's
90.
80.
There
it did more than 30.
Yeah, 90 damage
30.
per Psychic Energy, attached to Ultra Necrozma, making it deal, by only having 2 Psychic Energies, you would already do a massive amount of damage. Now, let's add to that 1 extra teammate, and that is Malamar. Malamar from Forbidden Light is the Malamar with Psychic Recharge. Once in your turn, you may pick a Psychic Energy from your discard pile and place it onto one of your bench Pokemon. Mix this with Ultra Necrozma, and you have yourself an endless supply of energy. A battery, I might say. Replenishable battery of energy, which allows you to attack every turn with Ultra Necrozma, as long as you kept switching it back to your bench, putting the energy back into it with Malamar, placing it back in, and continue the salvage attack. These 3 cards work perfectly together, and shows, and it was another eye-opening for me in the sense of do not underestimate some cards just because they might seem to affect certain types only and not overall all the cards. That was a lot about me talking. Sublime, what do you think about these 3 cards?
I love 2 of the 3, and the third is fine. I love Malamar, I love Mysterious Treasure. What I really love about those two cards is they are like the exoskeleton sort of that you can put with a lot of things, right? Like you have the tag team Giratina and Garchomp version, you have Giratina version, you have the Weezing version, you have the Ultra Necrozma version, but I just love the Malamar plus Mysterious Treasure package that you could make like 5 different decks, like a ton of different decks with. Right, and then you added Espeon and Deoxys, right? Like, the deck is just constantly getting new things to play with, which I'm very much a fan of.
Yeah, it's basically turned it into gimmicky, not gimmicky, maybe that's not the correct word, but its own toolbox, Malamar toolbox.
Right, it basically is. Like, you don't I don't refer to it as Necrozma. Like, the deck is usually referred to as Malamar.
Malamar, sorry. That's actually what I meant to say. Malamar toolbox.
Yeah, because that's the engine for getting the cards, right? So, Ultra Necrozma, I was really hot on when it first came out. It's not my favorite version of the deck anymore, but I'll get to that later. But love Malamar, love Mysterious Treasure. And Necrozma's good, because it's only a 2-prize card that has the potential to one-shot anything in the format. And that's good math.
It really is. And we all know here in the TCGcast, we love math. That's not true. Sigma,
that's
what about
you? Snag. Snag loves math. And we love Snag. So there you go. It works out.
It works out. That counts. Let's go to the next one. Or do you have anything to say, or Sigma?
Yeah, nowadays it plays with like Trevenant Dusknoir or Garchomp Giratina. I don't think either of those made anyone's list, so we can mention those here.
Yeah.
But those are strong psychic Pokemon that continue to come out, or in Garchomp Giratina's case, they're mostly psychic Pokemon. They need a little bit of fighting support, but that's easy to get in this format, so.
Right.
But yeah, very consistent card.
Awesome. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Sublime, what's your next?
My next one is Tag Call, which is just an item. It's just I really loved how much, they should not have made tag team supporters. That's what really broke this card. If there weren't tag team supporters, this would be fine. But then they added tag team supporters on top of the tag team GX pairs, and I'm like, you get 2, and it's an item! The fact that it's not a supporter, it's an item, and you can just get, here, grab 2 of whatever you want, is crazy. All my favorite decks run this.
Yeah, remember when we used to need to play a Pokemon to your bench in order to search for a trainer card? Those days are long over.
Yeah, just play an item that you could spam 4 of in a turn. Get all of your things. It's crazy.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else to be said on Tag Call? Pretty straightforward. It was just good.
We are in the era of tag team. It's going to be at its best for like the next year, so get into it. Yeah.
Yep. It's only getting worse from here. So.
It'll only get worse as rotations happen, so use it while you can.
It's not getting any better. There's nothing more coming out. Except for like an Alolan Sand/GX card. But we can ignore him. He's not important.
Yeah. Funny fact, not since we're talking about how it peaked and now it's going downhill. Completely separate.
It's going to stay at its peak for a while, though. Like, don't get it twisted.
True. But
yeah, it's just not getting better.
I just learned what jumping the shark means. Have you guys heard that? Of course.
Yes.
Probably
Yes.
You guys know where it came
with the
from?
term. From a TV show.
Right. I just learned that today. So for you at home, our younger audience out there, the term jump to shark, I just found out today at 32 years, 34. That jump to shark comes from the old show Happy Days.
When he literally jumped over a shark.
Yes, and it's used, so I've been always hearing that phrase, jump into shark. I have no idea what it means, even though I knew what Happy Days was, but I never made the connection. The phrase came from that episode where literally Fonzie jumped over the shark, and then they call it, when something jumped the shark, it's like, oh, it's peak, it's only going down here from this.
No, it's not, that's not what it means, though. It means when something is so extremely different from what it originally was.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So it's saying that Happy Days, when he jumped over that shark, was basically nothing like the show that it was when it first was made.
Gotcha. There you go. Anyway, fun fact.
The more you know.
Non-Pokemon fact. There we go. Okay, continue on to the next one. Sigma.
So it took a long time for this character to get into the card game and the video game.
It's
true.
Far too long, because Leaf is a completely different person.
Yes.
So at my number 4 spot, we have Green's Exploration, a nice little engine for any deck that is willing not to run Pokemon with abilities. So no Dedenne in these decks, but you get the strong effect of being able to search for 2 trainer cards in your turn. this led to some weird plays, which I think it was at Worlds, where they were running the Reshazard deck.
Reshazard with Green's Reshazard, they called it, yeah.
Yes, Green's Reshazard. But they were playing a Fighting Energy, so that you could go get the Energy Spinner to get that. And the Fighting Dojo.
Wow.
So you could get that extra damage you needed to KO the
That's fantastic.
Pikaroms with the 240 damage from having the Fighting Dojo out on the field, which is great.
That's great.
That is great.
It's also a solid card in the Arceus Dialga Palkia decks right now. There are some variations that use green. There's also, if you still see the Gengar Mimikyu decks that are running around, they'll use green because, well, it's only 4 Gengar Mimikyus. Why not? And they need
Gardevoir and Sylveon used to run it too.
Gardevoir Sylveon still does, to my knowledge. So, yeah, it's just a very strong engine for a lot of decks.
It's an extremely strong card. You just have to commit to it beforehand.
Yes, exactly.
You give up,
can't just throw it in.
You have to weigh the risk, weigh whether it's worth it or not.
It's like, do you want a Jirachi engine? Do you want a Gardevoir? Or do you want a Dedenne? Or do you want this? Sometimes this works out the best for you. Because it is very strong to search for 2 trainer cards. Because there are a lot of trainers that do a lot of powerful things. So
yeah.
And then you don't have weak Pokemon to get sniped for prizes.
Exactly.
Necessarily. Yeah.
Overall, a fantastic card that really love. And the art itself, amazing. Love myself green. Really glad she's back into the official TCG canon, if that is a thing. But we do find green, and it's definitely a welcome addition.
Yep.
Now, moving on to our next one. Now, we're jumping here from a stadium to another, and this one is pretty simple as well. Viridian Forest. Now, good old Viridian Forest. I believe this came out at Team Ups, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Team Up right at the beginning of the year.
Right at the beginning, and this was a very simple stadium. Once in your turn, per each player, that player may discard a card from their hand. If they do, that player may search its deck for a basic energy, reveal it, and put it into their hand. Basic energy accelerator. So many decks ran with this because it was so good. And it allowed you to use multiple energies in one deck better, since you had an active search at any time. Whenever you had that stadium active, you could go search for any basic energy. So if you were planning to play more than one energy, Viridian Forest was there for you. But it brought a sense of consistency to many decks that it needed. Cards like this is what allows players to be a little bit more creative, and maybe instead of having to play with those 8 energies, risk playing maybe those 5, 6, 4, maybe less than that, because you have the ability to search for these cards. So Viridian Forest was a great little card. I love it. Any words from you guys?
Beware of your opponent benefiting from it as well. Yep. That's a card that you have to be very mindful of when it's worth playing or not.
If your opponent is using a special energy only deck, then you're rolling in it.
Totally.
Perfect.
It's just it's interesting because a lot of stadiums explicitly benefit one side, and Viridian Guild has the distinction of being useful for both players.
Right. Mm-hmm. Okay, moving on to the next one. Take it away, Sublime.
All right, I'm here to talk about probably my favorite legendary Pokemon ever. And it's my girl Tina. That's what I call her. We love Tina. That's Giratina. It didn't come out this year, I don't think, but I really fell in love with playing this card this year. Yes. It is the Distortion Door Baby Tina. That always be coming through the back when you're not expecting it, onto your bench, getting them free damage counters, wherever you need to put them. Yeah. Shadow Impact would be really good math for one prize. And this is definitely my favorite Malamar pair.
Yes.
For the engine.
Yeah.
Me too.
I was really sold on Ultra Necrozma when it first came out, but I ended up loving the way the prize trade-off works and the math works with Baby Tina so much more.
Yes.
So I just love playing this card, and it feels. I just like how the mechanic works with it coming back from the grave whenever you want it to. I thought it was just very fitting for our dimension.
Oh yeah, this is still my favorite card from Lost Thunder from last year. It hit at the very tail end of last year, though, so we didn't really start to see the cards getting played until after the holiday season. So,
right, yeah, and it was such a great card that it saw itself not only in many good competitive decks, but a lot of fun, inventive deck, because that ability of just coming back would see it being partnered up with weird Pokemon.
Like the Wheezing deck, was it?
Yeah, the Wheezing deck. It had the Cofagrigus. Thank you, Cofagrigus deck, which depending on it dying and then coming back, is the attack for Cofagrigus would you can discard Pokemon from your bench to your discard pile, and you would do damage based on that. I think it was maybe 20-30 damage for each one, and then when you're back on your turn, you just revive all the Giratinas back and do the damage. It was such a... Don't get me wrong, it was not a good deck. It didn't go long, but it was fun to play because cards like Giratina here, like Sublime's girl Tina, it just opened the creative tunnels in order to people to do just fun decks, which honestly, those are my favorites.
Mm-hmm. And once the, Field Blower disappeared, it got to use the spell tag that came out at the same time as it. I believe it's spell tag.
Yeah.
Where you get to...
Even more counters.
Mm-hmm. When a psychic Pokemon is KO'd with it attached to it, it gets to distribute 4 counters as it pleases. Not as strong when Field Blower was around to get rid of those, but...
Afterwards? Oof. Yeah. No way around that damage. And you killed it, is coming back with a vengeance.
Definitely my favorite one prize attacker.
Oh, easily. It's a great card.
Well, moving on to the next one. Take it away, or Sigma.
Let's see. What do I even have in this next? Oh, my good old friend Pidgeotto. The little birdie that could.
The little birdie that could. That's adorable.
It's okay. He's only here for another month. Pretty sure it's going to get replaced in most decks by Cinccino when that finally comes out, because it's probably just Zoroark Jr., the one prize Zoroark. My goodness, why did they? But anyways, Pidgeotto here was the major replay. Well, before Zoroark, when I believe it still saw play in control decks, fielded by Oranguru. Oh joy, Oranguru. He is not on this list. I hate that thing so much. The one that gets resource management, put 3 cards back into your deck.
Oh, yeah.
Or at the bottom of your deck. Boy, Pidgeotto pairs really well with that. But Pidgeotto's also found a home with Blacephalon decks now. Mm-hmm. Very interesting choice, but I like it. It's the baby Blacephalon decks, by the way, not the big boy ones.
The GX.
But yeah, it's a very strong control supporter, and the card that replaced Zoroark when Zoroark went away.
Mm-hmm. Really helped that it only had 60 HP.
Yeah, because you can. There are cards that will search up Pokemon with 60 HP. I believe Professor Elm does that.
Professor Elm, yep. So it was a draw support that you could get easily by way of supporter. So that it was just great to be able to get fast. And didn't they all evolve to Pidgey, or was there a way of placing Pidgeotto directly into the bench? I for whatever
they evolved from Pidgey. They
evolved from Pidgey. Okay.
Another deck that used it was Beheeyem at Worlds. That was I know Seth enjoyed that deck existing, but it's a great way to search through your deck for cards that you need, especially decks that you put cards back in. And I'm not sure if I read the effect, but you get to, once per turn, each Pidgeotto gets to look at the top 2 cards of your deck, and you get to put one of them into your hand,
right,
and the other one at the bottom of your deck. So, very simple card. Came out in Team Up at the beginning of the year. I don't think anyone thought it was going to go anywhere, but hey, it did.
I don't think many people gave it any thought at all, and then it's like that Oranguru deck. Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like playing against that Oranguru deck.
Well, I love playing with it.
It found other homes, though, so I'm okay with putting the bird here. Well, he can be. Minccino will probably be there next year.
Well, have you heard that the bird is the word? Now, moving on from the bird to Madam Champion herself. Cynthia has to be number 2 here. Cynthia has always been, since her introduction, an incredibly awesome character. You guys know me, I'm a sucker for strong female characters, and Cynthia is as powerful as they come. And
Then why don't you like Diantha?
Oh, because I don't know.
Is she
There's-
really a
You like
strong
strong
female
powerful
character?
young female
I-
characters.
maybe
I
it's the
see how it is.
plutocrat in her. Maybe that's it.
I thought Diantha's problem was that she was friends with Lysander and didn't see that he was evil. But, you know.
She shut it down. It's all good.
But no, Cynthia has been my definitely way better than Diantha in my
A fan favorite to many. It's fair.
Yes. But her card is amazingly good in a time where it came just in time where we were just losing Professor Sycamore. The typical professor card where it's discard your hand, draw 7 new cards. We lost that for a period of time, and that's where Cynthia came in, which was just shuffle your hand, redraw 6 cards. Really great consistency draw card. It was a staple. It still is a staple to many decks. It used to be a little bit more where people were actually playing 3 and 4 of them. Now we're back to playing 2 or 1 because there's more options for drawing support. But still, it is a very powerful card that, honestly, it's one of my favorites from this season.
It's okay. She's going to be replaced by old lady Professor Magnolia soon enough.
Yeah, well, I'm going to miss her. That's for sure. Okay, moving on to the next one. What's your number 2, Sublime?
It's not good, but it's fun.
And that's what it counts.
I wanted it to be good, and that is Weavile GX and Dark City, the Dark Box engine.
Yeah.
Yeah, because getting to move around your basic dark energy and then having no retreat if you have basic dark energy.
Why not?
No, those aren't related. But yeah, like, if you retreat, moving energy, good stuff. There's a lot of good dark tag teams and GXs. Just make a deck. It's fun.
It's never expanded.
Yeah,
like
it is
really
because
good
they have Dark
expanded.
Patch. As long as you have Dark Patch, you're great.
They have Dark Patch. They have Malamar.
Yeah.
Oh god,
Yeah.
Malamar EX. Speaking of
Oh, is that
cards.
the confusion sleep?
No, it puts you to sleep if you put
Right.
when you put
If you
dark
attach a
energy
card
on
to it. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yep.
I used to make like a Mimi deck with that back in the day. When I was still building my card collection. That's what I had. Yeah.
That's my favorite deck in expanded right now. So
Good. Yeah. I
There we
will
go.
play with that. Yeah, but yeah, it's it never became as good as I wanted it to be in standard, but it's fun.
It definitely is.
It's
the
not
kind of
terrible. It's not terrible.
It's the kind of deck that doesn't care about GXs as much. So if we get good dark Pokemon going forward, even with V cards,
Yeah,
it'll still be
it
fine.
might-
True. They're going to be around for a while too.
It might make a comeback, yeah. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. R Sigma, what's your number 2?
All right, at number 2, we have the Triple Acceleration Energy, the successor to our double colorless energy friend that is no longer with us. But
R.I.P.
A moment of silence.
Pour one out.
yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, so before rotation, it was seen a lot in Zoroark decks as your double colorless energies number like 3, 4, 5,
Right.
or 4, yeah, 5, 6, 7, 8. It also allowed Zoroark to get so many stupid tech cards in there. It was Dugong was played. Dugong
Worlds.
Wow, yeah, Dugong was
One
played
Worlds.
thanks to this card. Yep.
Dugong. No, that was Nationals, but yes.
Oh, it was Nationals, you're right. I'm
Yeah.
thinking Nationals.
That was when Zoroark was still legal. That was a good time.
Oh, that was a great time.
I liked. It also allowed
That it
strong
beat
decks like
my Pika-Chrome. Not happy about that.
I was so happy with that. We watched it together.
We did.
We were rooting for the opposite decks.
let's see, other decks that allowed that were stupid were Blissey. Blissey was a thing. Triple Acceler. Nidoqueen, which will probably come back after the next set. Once we get the ability to search for evolution cards that aren't GXs again. I think Nidoqueen has a chance of coming back.
Me too. I was actually watching a few the other day videos for PTCG Radio, and he was commenting on how Nidoqueen might be something big that is coming. Not big,
it's
not big,
something
sorry.
anyway.
Something
I'm not
that is
surprised.
going to come
We're
back.
getting
It's a fun
Pokemon
deck.
Search. We're getting
Yeah.
Rare Pokemon Search back. We haven't had that in a few months. We lost Ultra Ball, we lost Nest Ball, the deck kind of just died. But hey, we're getting Evolution Search in the next set, so it'll be good again. Other decks it powers up are like Whimsicott, because Whimsicott needed powered up a little bit. I like the fact that it restricts itself to evolutions only, though. It's a bit more fun.
I like the fact that it's just for one turn.
Exactly. There are many things. It allowed that Weezing deck to exist for a little while.
Which was fun while it lasted.
It died once it lost DCEs, but it was a good time.
It really was. Triple Accelerated Energy was a card where I was like, oh, I really didn't think they had the gall or the courage to rotate
Take out double. Yeah.
Double. Yeah. I honestly was like, they're not going to do it. It's been in the meta since day one. They can't get rid of double colorless energy. And they did. I
thought DCE was fine. It didn't help that they gave us this card stronger than DCE in the same form, or at the same time, so no one cares. I think Triple Acceleration Energy was well balanced, though. So
exactly, this
and
feels like it's well balanced.
Yeah, it feels like it'll be a strong card as long as it's in standard. So yeah, I enjoyed the card. I think it did well this year.
Me too. Okay, so let's move on to, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the number one spot for each and every one of us. So let's go ahead and start with me, and my bias, top one choice is one that I chose because, number one, much, not in the same degree as Fire, but almost as, Lightning has been a while since it really had any really good decks going around. It had maybe one or two here and there, but overall the type really wasn't doing that well. And then suddenly Lost Thunder dropped. And once Lost Thunder dropped, a lot of other things started to drop that just made Lightning not only super viable, but super fun to play. So I have these three magnificent cards that really constructs the deck that is P.U.C.L. Now, P.U.C.L is my number one card there. Needless to say, it was among the first tag team cards that were revealed. It was one card that I fell in love, I have to say. As much as I said Mysterious Treasure was really bad when it came out, I was the only one that gave P.U.C.L super effective. Not that you guys gave it a bad, correct? You just said,
I wasn't on that episode, so I recused myself.
Our Sigma said, it's effective. But I was like, no, it's super effective, and it was super effective. It remained number one for a lot of regionals. Actually, it was one. Once it got a few months in, people knew how to get rid of it or knew how to counter it, and were expecting it because everyone was playing.
Yeah, it was slowly power crept. And eventually Mewtwo just was like, oh no, I'm too strong for you now.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's still played a little bit every here and there, but it's not nearly as prevalent as it was when it first came out.
It really isn't. But it was a magnificent fun card, which played well with my other card in that top one, which was plain and simple Zeraora GX. Zeraora GX was a Pokemon that I even kind of hated. Loki, I don't think I've ever said this in this show. Because I felt, even though it looks cool, in fact, it's the type of Pokemon that I would love. It's feline-ish looking, lightning, all the things that I kind of like in a Pokemon. The problem is that it was a Pokemon that I really didn't understand. It came really later on the release of the Gen 7. It was the last Pokemon ever released, right?
Yeah, there wasn't much hype.
It was the last Pokemon. I had one. I have one in my Gen 7. Ask me if I ever used it in a battle. Never. No attachment to it whatsoever.
It had its own movie. No one really cared about it. It was even a good movie. It's probably in the top 5 Pokemon movies.
Ooh,
but
wow.
No one talks about Zeraora in it. It wasn't particularly exciting in the movie.
Yeah. But
So
its card, though, was exciting. Thundering Stone allowed you to have no retreat cost for any Pokemon that had a lightning energy attached to it, much like Dark City for Dark Pokemon, but in the Pokemon version. Its attack was nothing to sneeze at. It had a cool 160 for 2 lightning and 1 colorless. You could not attack on the next turn, but at the point where this card came out, what Pokemon couldn't attack in the next turn? Like, every single Pokemon had that side effect of attack. Attack this turn, you couldn't attack the next one, just switch them out. No problem whatsoever. And itself had a good full voltage GX attack which basically allows you to grab some energies from your discard pile. Overall, a great tech and secondary attacker for any lightning deck. So really fell in love with Seraora as a card. Really wants me to try Seraora if it ever comes back to the current gen. So I'm looking forward to that. And lastly, to end the trio of my number one spot, this is also a tech, Thunder Mountain. Cannot mention Lightning without Thunder Mountain. Prism Star Stadiums were one thing that I thought, cool idea. I don't think they're going to make a big difference. And I was wrong. Every deck had a Prism Star Stadium. Many revolved around that strategy to have a Prism Star Stadium. And it worked perfectly well. Thunder Mountain was, I would say, 4 times out of 5, always available in my games. Always, sorry, for those of you at home that don't know what it does, it's, once you play it, lightning Pokemon cost 1 less lightning to do their attacks, making it a lot easier to attack. Pokemon like Seraora, Pika-Crom, and Jolteon GX could even attack for free. So, overall, great card. And it just gave this boost to lightning Pokemon that made them really surpass and really make him a good deck. So overall, these are my 3 number 1. And I mentioned it mostly because I just had so much fun. It brings me great memories from PuckleCon this year. Overall, had a blast with them. Now, moving on to Sublime's number 1. Take it away.
So we were talking about how they took out double colorless energy from the format.
Mm-hmm.
But did they? But did they? But did they? Or did they just turn it red? Did they just paint double colorless red all along?
Yeah.
And my 2 cards for number 1 are a deck engine that everyone tried to shove onto as many things as possible. It did not matter if you were a fire deck, you could run this engine to get attachments. And that is Welder and Giant Hearth. Welder, of course, is a supporter that says attach up to 2 fire energy cards from your hand to one of your Pokemon, and if you do, draw 3 cards. What are the 2 most powerful things in Pokemon? Draw and energy acceleration. And it does them both!
2 things that you're limited usually to 1 per turn.
Yeah. And then they're like, you know what? What if they don't have fire energy, though? What if they don't have to? Because the one thing about Welder is you have to attach them from your hand. What if you don't have that much fire energy in your deck? Oh, I don't know. Why don't we just add the stadium that says you can cut Viridian Forest from your deck and add this, is what it should have said. You get to discard a card from your hand and search for 2 fire energy cards specifically. Right. Yes, so that way, if your opponent isn't running fire energy, they don't get to benefit from it, you're getting double the energy, and then you can Welder. So, like, attaching 2 fire energies, and it's not your attach for the turn, is, like, better than double colorless, really. Because if they were using colorless, they can use the fire.
This is probably the strongest trainer card in
recent.
Yeah, this was an
standard era.
Yeah. This is really what made Fire good. This, not any of the Pokemon cards. It was this engine.
Yep.
This is probably the most broken trainer card since Lysander's trump card.
Yep.
Forest of Giant Plants. I do love Forest of Giant Plants.
Yep. Forest of Giant Plants was this. It wasn't broken. The cards around it were broken.
That's true. That is true.
I don't think Forest of Giant Plants is a problem in a world without Vileplume, but
yeah,
stupid Vileplume.
Every Vileplume is a stupid Vileplume in the TCG. Name one Vileplume that isn't.
They all suck. And I don't
they
mean
all have terrible abilities.
And I don't mean suck as in they're bad. They're just terrible.
No, Vileplume is a great Pokemon, but it never gets a card that we don't hate.
Yeah.
I think the GX is doing nothing. The GX has done nothing yet.
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, Welder, Giant Hearth, not just for fire decks. You'll see them in everything, including your Mewtwo and Mew 3 decks.
Yeah, that's the engine, the Mews.
That's cool. That's what. Yeah, that's how good it is. It's like, can we shove Welder into the engine? Yes. Do it.
It's like we're essentially a fire deck, but you know,
which is basically a free DCE every turn on top of your energy attachment.
Yeah, it's so dumb.
It's crazy. It's dumb.
So it left us, but not really.
It lived in spirit.
Yeah, they just painted it red.
Yeah. Let's read the successor card in Bead. Coming out next set, Choose a basic energy card from your hand and attach it to one of your bench Pokemon. Nothing else afterwards. That's the world.
Isn't that a supporter? Isn't that a supporter? Yeah. Oh, that's garbage.
Right? Like, I understand that if you're going to make
for
it
a garbage character,
energy,
it makes sense.
if you're going to make it a generic energy, you have to make concessions, but we're also probably going to lose the ability to play supporter cards on turn 1.
Yeah.
In the rules update that we're going to get in a few weeks.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. No supporters at turn 1.
I'm very curious to see how that will affect win rates.
Yes. I mean, if it makes it an actual choice on whether you want to go first or not, I kind of support it.
It sounds like everyone might just want to go. We'll have to see how it works out.
Well, I'm interested to see how it goes.
Yeah, you
I
still
was really
have the
happy
energy
with how they balanced it
acceleration, I
now.
guess.
With them not being able to attack, I thought that was enough. We'll see.
Yep.
Well, let's go ahead and move on to the last number 1 card, and that is our boy, our Sigma. Sigma, in all your wisdom, what is your number 1 card?
So, like I was saying on Welder being like the strongest supporter card in who knows how long, this is probably the strongest. I think this is stronger than Tapu Lele GX was. We've got Jirachi at number 1 with Stellar Wish ability.
Yes.
Where it has an attack. We never talk about the attack. It's never attacked before.
Nor should we.
But the ability allowed you
one.
As long as it was your active Pokemon, you could look at the top 5 cards of your deck and pick a trainer card from among them to put in your hand and then shuffle the rest of the cards into your deck. It's now asleep. Who cares? We have a skateboard in the format. It allows you to escape or retreat while you're under a status condition for like one. Is it -1 retreat cost? So it was
-1.
It's -1, which makes it free.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you just switch the Jirachi out. You're probably playing a bunch of switches, so you can play multiple Jirachi in the same turn. You retreat the one Jirachi, then you switch the Jirachi out into a third Jirachi. It's led to absurd board states. It is one of the best supporting Pokemon we've had probably ever.
Probably, yeah. I mean, probably since the only thing that I could imagine that was pretty much the same. It was Jirachi EX, which was basically
Which was
well, that's Tapu Lele GX
Yeah.
too. But
well, that's true. Tapu, I forgot.
with
about
this
that.
was only
90 HP or
basically the
something.
same
Yeah.
thing.
yeah, this being a single prize makes it probably better. The only thing
yeah.
I'm thinking about is maybe Octillery, but that was an evolution Pokemon.
That was an evolution. Yeah, that was a mess. This is just simple, quick, straight to the point.
Had the perfect item card at the perfect time. It just hit all the bases and makes so many decks run so much smoother. It's what you need in most like stage 3 or stage 2
Honestly,
decks.
you basically have to choose between Jirachi and Greens.
I
That's
was
the choice. you
just
make.
gonna say exactly the same thing at exactly the same time.
You can have Dedenne and Jirachi, or you
Yep.
can have Greens.
This
That's the
was,
choice you
choice
make.
was between either you play green or you play Jirachi most of the time.
Yeah.
That's the directions you would go. They were equally as good. It was like either I use Jirachi or use green. They both get me into the same overall where I want to go. So excellent card, really is.
Yeah, decks like Baby Charizard kind of had to use this because, you know, they have abilities after they evolve. So might as well stick with the abilities anyway. But it is a very strong card in a lot of decks and will probably be that way for the next half a year until rotation.
Until its equipment gets rotated.
Until its equipment gets rotated, it will be a
Yeah.
very
As
strong
soon as that gets rotated, it's dead in the water.
Yeah.
we'll see. It still has Switch, but, you know, it's not nearly as strong.
Yeah, correct. Okay, so that's it, guys. Those are our favorite cards from 2019 format. We had a lot of fun this year. We are going to have even more fun next year with Sun and Moon. I keep wanting to call it Sun and Moon because
Because they both start with an S.
yes, what is my problem with S
We
names?
went from X and Y to Sun, then
And
Sword,
Moon.
and it throws you off.
It throws me off, right?
It throws me off a lot, too.
Yeah,
Be happening.
but with Sword and Shield dropping next year, we have just a ton of new things to learn, play around with. It's going to be an exciting time, and the formats are changing rapidly. So, lots to look forward to. But before we move on, well, not before we move on, before we end the show, my last question to my fantastic co-host here is, overall, how did you like the 2019 format? Give it a rating as you feel, whatever you want to call it. Did you guys enjoy 2019 compared to maybe 2018? I mean, we've been doing this show already for 3 years, believe it or not. So we've been around for a while. It's been a few formats. What have been your opinion? Let's start with you, R Sigma.
Honestly, I'm not a huge fan of the massive power creep we've seen this year.
Okay.
So I don't know if I hate the Zoroark era more or the Mewtwo era more.
That's the question. That's the question. It's like they took Zoroark, but then they gave us that.
Yeah, it's like, I kind of want Zoroark back. I miss the poor thing.
Well, you're about to. You're about to.
Your wish is
That's
their
okay.
command.
That one doesn't attack anymore. That one's not an attacker. So
What about finish up.
yeah, so I would say 5.
5 out of 10.
Yeah, 5 out of 10.
There we go. 5 out of 10 on 2019. What about you, Sublime?
I really liked the tag team mechanic. So I'm giving it like a 7. I really like Zoroark too, though, so.
I'm more in line with Sublime there. Maybe a little bit more than Sublime because I did love the tag team. Not only that.
I wish they had done more Prism cards, I will say.
I agree with you.
I like the Prism designs. I feel the tag teams were a little overpowered, and I think they felt that way too.
Looking at all of the art they did for the tag teams, though. I really wish they'd keep the color pencil style for more of the fancy art. I thought it was some of the most gorgeous art we've seen. Seth Philo hates it, and he likes the direction we're going, so everyone gets their turn. Yeah. Eventually.
I like tag teams in concept, but I think they were a little too overpowered. And I think VMAX cards show that they understand that they were overpowered because now they have.
I was gonna say, don't worry, Sigma. We now have VMAX coming. So
it's like they're
so spam your overpowered
down.
Tag team for the next couple of years until they're rotated.
The whole plan for 2020 is just to tank with the VMAX Pokemon, tank the tag team until they're rotated out. That's it. High HP. Mm-hmm. That's all they have planned for this year. I agree. I give it around a 7.5. I do like overall a lot of things that they did. They took some risks this year. They honestly did. They took away, like we just discussed, they took away double colorless energy. We had to adapt to this. They took away our Lysander, not Lysander, our boy, Guzma. Also something that we had to adapt to.
Our Pokemon catching. A lot of risks that
there's a lot of things that I did appreciate that they did, although I do agree with our Sigma. I think the power creep, because as we have discussed before on the show, we thought they were going the opposite direction at the beginning. Yeah. Oh, they're slowing down the meta. They finally realized that the Pokemon EX were too strong.
Yeah, no.
They're going back to evolutions, and nope. I mean, the last part was true. But the last two, the other two weren't. It was the fact that they weren't slowing down. They just power creeped the heck out of it. Yeah,
this year went back to big basics, and I thought we were moving past that to where basics and
even bigger basics.
Basics and evolutions could live in a harmony, and it's like we like big basics. It's like
3 prizes, do 270 damage your second turn.
Yeah, so. I kind of wish tag teams were like evolutions of like GX Pokemon.
Which is basically what
Pokemon GX.
Yeah. You're playing a Zekrom GX? Okay, then evolve it into a Pikachu Zekrom GX tag team.
Right.
And that would be more fair. And I think they realized that, so we'll see going forward.
Let's see. What about you, Sublime?
I'm a spam GXs till they rotate, because I'm not happy with how weak VMAXs are until they get some more to work with.
Yeah, it's usually the second set.
Right, yeah. You need a couple sets before they, have enough to work with. So...
Though nowadays they do like a set every month in Japan, so it's hard to say what the second set is.
True. When we get our second or third set, they're usually good.
We are syncing up soon, so there's that to look forward to.
Yeah.
Kind of. We don't know yet, but we're
still waiting on that.
Yeah, we'll see.
2020
we'll see soon enough.
Mysteries. Yeah, we'll see soon enough, and we'll discover all the new adventures that are in front of us. Not to sound too marketerial, but that's how we're gonna put it. With that calls the end of the show and the end of 2019 and the beginnings of 2020, guys. Thank you so much for once again listening to us. Those few people that still listen to this show, I really appreciate it. Love you guys. Do not miss out any of our other shows, please. As you already know, PUCL podcast every Monday. Do not miss out. I will be joining you guys on as a co-host soon there. So stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, please go ahead and follow us on all of our social medias, including Twitter and Facebook. If you have the extra cents, please go ahead and donate to us at Patreon, or not donate, sorry. Become a Patreon, because that money doesn't only goes back to the community, but you also get benefits for being a Patreon, such as Pokemon. Thatch and crew were distributing those 6 IV Dittos through Christmas. They did a fantastic job on those. Thank you so much for the dedication and time. And overall, join us at Discord, because in Discord is where you're going to find someone to raid, trade, or battle at any point, at any time during 24-hour cycle, because we have Pokelonians from here to all the way around the world. So come join us. And with that, it is the end of the show. You can already hear the guitar in the background. Please, Sigma, as always, thank you so much.
More Pico is coming.
Yes, and Sublime, love you, bro. Thank you so much for being here.
Love you. We still got to meet up soon. We do have
to do that live episode soon. And with that, it's closing time, guys. Have a great day.